What if you could design an entire education system from the ground up to solve one single universal problem? Well, that's pretty much the core idea behind what's called the SNS method. It's a really different way of looking at a challenge that, let's be honest, every teacher, student, and parent knows all too well. So what is that big challenge?
Right, this is it. This is the question that keeps educators up at night. How do you possibly teach a class when you have so many different personalities in one room? You know the classic problem, right? You teach to the middle, you might lose the students who are way ahead, and you risk leaving behind those who are struggling. It's not just the puzzle, it's the central challenge of modern education. And if we look at the numbers, it gets really clear. In any typical classroom, you've got about 70% of students who are generally on board. They're following along. But that leaves this 30% gap, a huge group of students who, for all sorts of reasons, just aren't engaged. And that is a massive loss of potential. That is the exact problem SNS is trying to solve.
I think this quote really flips the whole problem on its head. It suggests the issue isn't really about discipline or control, it's about connection. That teaching isn't just a science where one size fits all, it's an art, the art of reaching individual minds. So, how in the world does the SNS method try to build a system to master this art?
Well, the answer from SNS doesn't start with a new rule book, it starts with a new philosophy. They call it the 3P culture, and it is the absolute foundation for everything else they do. So what are the 3Ps? They are purpose, process, and people. Let's take a look at how they all fit together. And what's so powerful about this is how these three things just lock together. Think about it. You can have a fantastic purpose, a really clear why, but if you don't have a structured process for how to get there, it's just a nice dream. And you can have a great process, but if you don't have the right people working together, it's going to go nowhere. The real magic happens when all three are perfectly aligned.
Okay, so here's what that actually looks like in the real world. The purpose? To improve student wellness. Simple enough. The process? Designing and actually building a new zone on campus. And the people? This is the key. It was a collaboration between students and teachers. It wasn't some project handed down from the administration, it was something the community built together, from the ground up.
And it really is as simple as this quote says. When those three connect, amazing things can happen. So this 3P culture isn't just a poster on the wall. It's a practical formula for actually getting things done. But okay, a philosophy is great, but it needs an engine. So what's the step-by-step blueprint that makes this culture come alive?
That engine is design thinking. This is the operational blueprint right at the heart of the entire SNS model. And its goal is frankly pretty ambitious, to build an entrepreneurial mindset in every single student. Now, look at where this whole process begins. Empathy. This is absolutely the key. Before you can even think about solving a problem, you have to deeply, truly understand the person you're solving it for. From there, it's a really logical cycle. You define the real issue, you brainstorm solutions, you build a quick prototype, and you test it in the real world. This isn't just a plan for a project, it's a repeatable formula for coming up with new ideas.
And here is where it gets really interesting. This isn't just something they teach the students, they use it on themselves. The faculty actually used this exact 5-step process to redesign their own courses. And guess what? They started with step 1, building empathy for what it's actually like to be a student today. And the result of all that work? A 40% jump in student engagement. I mean, that's not a tiny bump. That is a massive, quantifiable impact. It shows that this method is directly chipping away at that 30% disengagement problem we talked about at the very beginning.
Okay, so we've got our why, that's the 3P philosophy, and we've got our how, the design thinking blueprint. But where does all this happen? Well, it happens inside a very carefully constructed ecosystem, one that's designed from the start to nurture innovators. At the very core of this ecosystem is something called the 3C competency circle. And this is a really simple way to think about it. If the 3Ps are about how the institution works, the 3Cs are all about what the student actually develops. It's about making sure every single learner is building a balanced set of skills across attitude, logic, and technical ability. And it's all geared towards applying what you know with a real sense of purpose.
And to give all these skills a place to really grow, they created something called Spine. You can basically think of it as an in-house incubator. It's a support system designed to take that little spark of an idea and help nurture it all the way from a concept to a prototype to, maybe, a real startup. It's the support structure for student entrepreneurship.
This quote just nails it, right? Spine is the bridge between having a great idea and actually making it happen in the real world. It makes sure all that creativity doesn't just stay on a whiteboard somewhere. Now, this whole ecosystem is built on 5 big pillars. You could think of them like interconnected departments. You've got centers for learning and creativity, others for career skills and industry partnerships, and a pillar dedicated entirely to social responsibility. The key is they're all designed to work together, not as separate silos.
And here's that synergy in action. This prosthetic arm project, it wasn't just a cool science experiment. It was a collaboration that pulled resources from the Center for Creativity and the Social Responsibility pillar. It's a perfect example of using innovation to solve real human problems.
And we're not just talking about small-scale projects here. Their Green Wave campaign resulted in 10,000 trees being planted. It just goes to show a commitment to social impact that is both really big and totally measurable.
This quote really gets to the heart of their entire mission. They're focused on building those holistic skills, things like social intelligence and emotional balance. Because preparing someone for life, not just for a job, means you're building resilient, adaptable people, not just skilled workers.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy, the blueprint, and the ecosystem. Let's pull all these pieces together and ask a couple of final questions. What really makes this SNS model so different, and where is it all going from here?
The real difference here isn't any one single thing. It's the way it's all woven together. You've got design thinking happening everywhere, from student projects all the way up to faculty meetings. You've got these frameworks for growth, deep partnerships with industry, and it's all built on a foundation of empathy. It's a completely integrated system.
And their vision for the future is, incredibly ambitious. The goals are super concrete. Launch over 100 startups right from their own labs and get to a curriculum that is 100% driven by design thinking. It just shows that the SNS method isn't some finished project. It's an ongoing, evolving mission.
And this final thought, I think it just captures the grand vision perfectly. The goal isn't just to redesign a curriculum, it's to empower the students to become the designers themselves. It's a belief that by redesigning how we teach, we can give a new generation the tools to go out and redesign the world. One mind, one idea, one project at a time.